Alright, welcome back to another devlog. So what I've come to realize is I gotta get this game finished. And here's the plan. I have 3 levels yet to implement. I need to build them out, work on the story, and get the other objectives implemented as well. For the first of these next 3, I'm trying to get it done within the next 3 months. That will put completion around August, end of August, and using that as a benchmark will give me an idea of when I can get the next 2 after that done. Hopefully early 2026, all of the levels will be in with the main story implemented. And then I plan to take a minimum of another 6 months to polish, complete all of the other objectives that are outside of the main story, and prepare for packaging this up and releasing, hopefully at the best case, end of 2026, but my true goal is early 2027, which puts it about a year and a half out. So this devlog is going to focus on building out that first of the next 3 levels, and it's been a month so far into creating it. First thing to note, this level is one I am reusing from my first game, The Companion, and it's the only level I am reusing from that game. So I did have a small head start with this level. I imported the landscape from The Companion, but I've tweaked it and I'm making it a little more grand. It needs to look better from the air instead of the ground. So here's what we have so far. And the scary part with this level that I've been dreading was incorporating a seaside city. My characters are based in this city by the sea, and I really wanted it to feel grand and large, epic, especially since the character that you play as is mostly an airborne character. It needs to look good from the air. I needed to try to do it in as an efficient manner as possible. So this city has taken me 2 weeks to implement. Here is the level in The Companion, and you can see the terrain is more of an island. It was designed with a ground-based view. The assets are lower quality, less detail in the materials and textures. Here's a quick comparison of some landmarks within the level, such as these ruins. Here is from the top of a small hill or mountain looking towards the city. And then here's the city in The Companion, and it was bare bones. The player could not run into the city. There was an invisible wall preventing it. It was designed to look decent from the ground at distance. It's just very bare bones, not fleshed out, and it's to hint at this city by the sea. But now in the Majestic, it's going to be this much grander vision, and you can fly over it and walk within it and everything. So I did have a little head start with this level. These apartment buildings. The first thing I did was removed it all, deleted it out, and starting it over from the beginning. So the first thing I do is lay down some paths. The roads will guide me on where I want the buildings to be set. The roads give a better sense of where the neighborhoods within the city would be located and how things are going to flow. And one important thing with this is I wanted a sense of elevation, terraced or tiered. So as you get closer to the cliff face, I wanted the buildings to sit higher than the ones by the sea. So here with the roads, I'm trying to block out the elevation differences, and then I take some landscape tools and smooth things down a little bit, and just blocking and roughing in the basic landscape. And once I get that set, I start taking these sea walls that I had previously created and start blocking out the design for those. You may notice I'm not procedurally generating anything here. For bigger games, developing a PCG tool that can put down buildings and walls and everything would probably be a smart decision. But I felt the development time of the PCG graph, doing everything and getting the detail I wanted, would take just as much or more time than just doing this manually. These walls could have been generated by splines, but they are instanced packed level instances, so they are still fairly efficient. And because I wanted to be more precise with everything, I am not leaving this area up to procedural generation when it comes to the ground, boulders, and trees. So I'm placing some boulders around, and I'm just hand placing everything, shaping the ground around each building. Now, in a different level here, I'm working on my building assets, and each building asset is a collection of these apartments, these tall apartments that are all combined next to each other. I'm trying to create these mega assemblies, and I have about 5 of them, and it's the same assets just rearranged in different ways. As I start getting these assets assembled, these different packed level instances for the buildings, I start adding them to the city and replacing the blockouts with them. Everything's starting to take shape, adding additional details. I'm getting some stairs in here. The steps are also an assembly, a packed level asset. I'm using the roads to also shape the landscape. So as I move the roads, then I have it reshape the landscape based on the new road position. And I'm painting a little bit of sand into the landscape around where it might collect next to the seawalls and the building edges, just to add a little contrast. It makes it look a little more detailed. And then I bring in some palm trees that I had from another asset. I bring in some market stalls and place a few of those around. And then I start painting in the palm trees to where I would like them. And I'm only hand placing these in this city. For the rest of the level, they will be procedurally placed based on the terrain. So now things are really shaping up here. Just this city alone, putting all the buildings, boulders, roads, walls, everything. It took me 2 weeks to get this to the place it's at today. As the game is developed and there's polish passes done, it will probably be enhanced further. It's designed to look the greatest from the air. It's not really meant to be traveled through on the ground too much. I would like more detail at the ground level. The roads do not make too much sense. They're just this cobblestone road. Between the buildings should have less grass and stuff like that. It should be like cobblestone roads and sidewalks. This was the design that just seemed to work the best. So this city's really coming to life now. It's really shaping up. So one thing, these building assemblies, again, there's about 5 different ones. They're packed level instances, which means they are filled with instant static meshes. So each window on the building is its own static mesh and it's instanced. So when I did the nighttime for these, the windows are using a node in the material to do a per instance random so that they can randomize being on or off at nighttime, and they change as the day progresses to night and back to day. But what I noticed is the same windows were on and off for each mega clusters. So I've combined that with the actor's position, and now windows are a lot more randomized when it comes to this nighttime view. After the city was done, I wanted to focus more on the landscape and get that honed in. So I work on some colors, and then, like I did with the last couple levels, I've gone in and added meshes to the cliff faces of all the hills. Adding the meshes just adds a level of detail. It looks a whole lot better. So this took the next 2 weeks, adding meshes to the entire level manually. Again, another process that could potentially be procedurally done. PCG graphs do take time to set up, and I just had a workflow already in place, and I wanted to crank it out and not fool with a PCG graph. I needed to make sure I was just making progress and wasn't going to go down a rabbit hole that led to a dead end. Now that it's done, I think it looks pretty good. After the meshes were placed, I then run my PCG graphs to add trees, bushes, flowers, and additional grass on top of these cliff faces, and the landscape really comes to light here. The PCG graph, it's designed to put the trees and foliage in specific areas based on the landscape. So if I paint forest or desert, beach, grass in different areas, the assets change based on those painted areas. Now, for the next couple months, it's story time, implementing the main story and the other objectives outside of the main story. So there it is. This is creating Act 3, 1 month in, and the goal is to be working on the next level in a couple months. So that's where we stand right now. That's going to be it for this one. Have a good one. Take care.